For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Madam Chairman, I move to strike the last word.
And the gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Madam Chairman, I rise in strong support of the amendment offered by the gentleman from Kansas. The new House Republican majority was elected last year with the specific charge to bring wasteful spending under control. We can't blame the Senate or the President if there's waste in the budget anymore. Money doesn't get spent by this government unless the House says it gets spent. In a very real constitutional sense, the buck starts here. Now, here we have an appropriations bill originating in this House that still has outrageously wasteful and indefensible programs in it, and the flagship of that waste is the $182 million in unauthorized, there's that word again, in unauthorized spending for the Economic Development Administration. This is solely and simply a slush fund that gives away money for the most dubious of local projects. Local projects that benefit local communities should be funded locally. We shouldn't be robbing St. Petersburg to pay St. Paul. We've got to ask ourselves, if these projects are so important to local communities, why are those local communities unwilling to pay for them? And if the communities that directly benefit from these projects are unwilling to pay for them, why are we spending federal money that we don't have? To add insult to insanity, this particular agency is sitting right now on $845 million. Why on earth would we provide it with another $180 million? We ought to abolish this agency and recover the unspent funds, not throw good money after bad. You know, Tim Carney hit it on the head in the Washington Examiner last October when he wrote this. He said, quote, "Nearly every Republican voted against President Obama's stimulus in 2009, arguing that the deficit was too high, that government shouldn't be in the game of picking winners and losers, and that Washington doesn't create jobs. But the EDA adds to the deficit, picks winners and losers, and purports to create jobs. If Republicans vote to continue the EDA, they flaunt their hypocrisy to critics." I have to agree. I appreciate that the appropriations bills are making incremental improvements in the status quo, but these are times that demand much, much more than that. When members vote for these appropriations bills, they become responsible for the spending in them and for the waste in them, and I, for one, do not intend to explain to my constituents that a culinary amphitheater was worthy of $2 million of their hard-earned taxes. And this spending is simply indefensible. Doling out grants with little, if any, accountability, this ought to be the poster child for waste in government. I appreciate the fact that the leadership's agreed to an open amendment process, giving us the opportunity to correct this particular oversight on the floor. But the fact of the matter is the House is ill-equipped to comprehensively address this kind of waste from the floor, and we must do better in both the authorizing and the appropriations committees in combing these bills earlier in the process for these kind of unconscionable and indefensible expenditures. I commend the gentleman from Kansas for offering the amendment. I wholeheartedly support it, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from California yields back his time.